Welcome back to J Muddy ATV and Outdoors. Now, what we are doing today is we are installing a triangle ATV kit. So basically, the reason why I bought this kit was because I watched guys like Rob Farrow, or along with, well, before they were actually called Supreme ATV, the list goes on and on and on. These people bought the Snorkel ATV kits. Hey, you know, they're great kits, they look great, but in the end, when it comes down to quality over time and riding and beating around on your machine, I felt the Triangle ATV kit was perfect. Note this is a metal support here, so when you actually get all your risers set up, it makes it so your ATV will actually be strong. Well, it makes it so the pod is strong enough to actually carry your snorkels, well, your risers in your snorkel kit. You have the two bellows boots for the rear diff, which those actually go on the vent lines. Note this, I actually already replaced my bellows boots. Well, I actually replaced my vent lines with bellows boots already. This one here is for the transmission. They give you some zip ties, heat shrink, sticker here, some dioelectric grease to take care of your electrical system, some push pins, hardware to actually anchor on your support here, along with two poppet valves. They give you a metal 90-degree arm here. I actually think that's really good, considering you're actually going to be putting this by the header. And then the risers here, they're all threaded. They make it so you can get things super tight, along with hose clamps. And then this here are the spa hoses that they put special ends on. And then I bought the PVC solvent and the primer, the heat shield to actually protect all the components when we run up next to the header on the kit, some silicone to put things together, and the reason why I bought these, it's because we actually want, well, I bought the coupler and I bought the end here. It's because it makes it so you can actually install an air fitting into the end here and actually make sure that your kit is actually airtight. It's not going to leak. So that's one thing I recommend that you do. This kit, everything is 2 inches, so that makes everything easy. That's also the reason why I bought the female end for when it comes to putting it on top of the snorkel riser. And then also one other thing too, when you buy this kit, you will legally be able to access the instructions. The instructions only come by a video, so you actually watch a guy do it. You know, he makes little tiny tips and suggestions. I think that's actually really great, especially considering the machine I'm installing. Note this, the front bumper's not on there because I'm actually painting that. So great recommendation of using the installation video. It's about an hour long. I recommend that you download it because I'm actually in a place that has no Wi-Fi, so it makes it easier for me to actually watch the video, see what this guy has done. So anyhow, I actually hope you enjoy this video. I'm going to actually add in my own little tips and tricks, so stay tuned for that, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, I wanted to stop and explain something real quick with this Triangle ATV kit. I did not see it in the video, but what I had to do was I had to loosen up those two bolts for the ECU, well, the bracket that holds on to the ECU, and then also there's two 10mm bolts here that you gotta loosen up. And since these bolts go directly into the airbox, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some silicone and put those back in. And then also too, with the ear that came down here for the CVT exhaust, there's a zip tie in it, and that had to be clipped. In fact, let me grab it here. But this here normally loops up and goes down in here. So for what we're doing for the kit, you have to remove it. But yeah, this here, it's normally bolted into that bracket that goes into the airbox. And then your zip tie is right here, holds onto two wire harnesses. Make sure you actually clip that so you can actually be able to remove your CVT exhaust, the port that goes back down and in there. Now the whole reason why I'm actually doing this kit is because I actually swamped out my clutches, and on top of that too, Tall Pines has Farm Fest coming up, and I just want to make sure that I actually have the right snorkel kit, so when I take on the bounty hole I don't have too much more difficulty. But anyhow, next I'm going to go into taking out the stock intake, and for disassembly, I think that's pretty much it. I know I gotta do trimming. That's the next thing on my list. So anyhow, I'm gonna put this in a time lapse. You're gonna watch me just disassemble this real quick, mark this up, get it ready to cut, and we're going to go from there. Okay, so what I did was I moved the far mudding angel light setup out of the way. I went through and marked W for weep hole. This is T for, I know the lights, try to get some better lighting here. This is T for the transmission, and then G is for the gas tank. So we have all this marked because later on we're going to be installing those bellows boots, and they actually go on to the end of those vent lines, so then you don't get mud and everything else up in there. So now the next thing for me to do is I gotta loop this up and around. Probably going to zip tie it. But the reason why we do that is because in the instruction video, they say to do that so you actually don't get mud. Welcome back to day 2 of the build. So today this is what we are doing. We are, since I cleaned this up I cleaned up the intake, the CVT intake on the Can-Am, because we're actually going to be reusing this as a part of the kit. So right now that's drying out. We can start prepping that pipe. I have a mark on the video. It says mark 2 ribs down onto the CVT exhaust. We already got the mount done. We did that off camera. So what we had to do was we actually had to drill the holes a little bit bigger up here so we could actually get this piece mounted on. Obviously you're going to see like a gap. So we did the best we could to align it. So we got that going for us. We removed, obviously, the CVT intake. I moved this out here so then we can actually loop it and clean it and do exactly what the kit says. Take filter, but I'm going to be replacing the filters. I don't know what exactly I'm going to use. Whether if it's going to be the stock risers and I make my own custom filter. I mean, it all varies. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet. Those will probably just get mounted on there for now, so then I can just ride it. So yeah, we're basically going to be doing all the pipe work today, figure out where we're going to be putting these wires back, along with these tubes. So, anyhow, let's get back to Okay, so now that we have everything together and I'm testing things, you know, I'm actually making sure things fit in before I actually film it. So, you know, that's something I highly recommend. But now what I'm going to do, since the kit calls for it, I'm going to silicone around my hoses here because I actually want a smooth fit. Well, I want a fit that doesn't leak. So, time to start this. Okay, so obviously I gotta trim a little bit more This piece here, I'm pretty sure I don't have to trim it, but I may have it routed up wrong. So the only way actually, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and grab one of these. Move these wires out of the way here. So since I really don't know if I actually have this in there right, I'm gonna pick this up here. Slide this out. Okay, I just want to stop and say something here. If you have fire mudding halos, and note this, I got my two power and grounds for my regular, for my my auxiliary plug-in right here, and I since all my wires I pushed below the Snorkel, I put the I want to say the voltage regulator or the circuit cooler. I put that with all the circuits below because I got a feeling that I wasn't going to have any room up top to actually keep it there. And on top of that too, with everything that I have cut out, we're going to have air flowing through there when the machine's moving. And then our power block is right here. So the next step I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take our plastic for our pod, I'm going to mount it on top of here, and we are going to cut these tubes, and it's going to be a certain length because we actually got to fit. Grab the metal connector here. We gotta grab this guy here and mount it underneath the pod. And we also gotta stick it into the into these hoses right here. So right now I think my CVT intake is actually at perfect length. It's just gonna take a little work to get that in. And also too, when I put in my regular motor intake, the reason why it took me a little bit longer to get the silicone on here was because I'm actually still using the tube from the previous day. So, you know, I want you to keep that in mind, that, you know, it plugs up at the top. So it took a little bit to actually get things unsealed and wrap it around. So anyhow, I'm going to put on the time lapse. We're going to trim these hoses down, install these little metal pieces here, and then work on the vent lines a little bit more. Note this, I got the transmission one. That one is actually going to come up this way and come up into the pod. And we're going to attach a little bellows boot on it, so then we don't have any mud or any kind of gunk actually getting into it. So anyhow, I'll put this on the time lapse and you'll see what is going on. Okay, I just wanted to stop real quick and explain to you something. Why I didn't put these hose clamps on with these metal couplers here. Well, I did that for one reason. I just want to make sure that when I actually put the pod down onto the machine, that it's not going to cause stress on these tubes here because of the amount that I cut. Because if I gotta cut more, I gotta cut more. And on top of that too, like everything else that I'm doing, I'm gonna put silicone around it just so then I can actually keep things watertight. So anyhow, I'm going to put this back on the time lapse, and you're gonna watch the pod get mounted down on in there, and we'll see if it's actually a perfect fit. Because if it is a perfect fit, then I'll take these back off, and then I'll put silicone around them, and I'll put our hose clamp around them. Okay, so what we actually got going on here is, you know, her strut, well actually, you really don't know because I didn't tell you on the time lapse. But anyhow, one thing I'm going to point out is when I mount these, the engine intake wants to go right in there, but the left and the right side, they exactly don't want to go into the pod itself. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take this and I'm going to trim it a little bit here, because I think if I trim both of these up a little bit, we might actually have a great chance of actually getting these hoses into that pod. So Anyhow, I'm gonna remount the camera, put it in a different place, hopefully a lot better location, because I have it mounted on the handlebars right now and it's kind of getting knocked around a little bit with my movement. So I know. Okay, so we are back, and right now I am just playing with the idea of the snorkel risers, since I got the threads all threaded and the tubes are all now set up for the right length. So the next step in this process is to remove those risers themselves. Like what I said, I'm just playing with ideas. In fact, that's right at the handlebars. So yeah, we're gonna remove the risers here. I was just playing with the idea, but in fact, let me walk around. But I think that would actually look really cool. It's just, I think at the same time, I would also have to cut this and probably lower it, which I really don't want to do, but I'm just playing around with ideas and thinking about things before I actually decide to use the stock 90-degree elbow. Like, I'm gonna be honest here, you know, these kind of look like crap, a straight 90-degree elbow, but at the same time, you know, it's a kit. The kit does what it needs to do, and we're gonna make our own modifications to make it look good. So the only thing my concern would be, so if when I go to take this off here, is that you know, getting the risers off themselves with this being glued, but at the same time I might be better off probably putting another end on this and making it threadable and just keeping these on. I don't know, I'm just playing with ideas. So anyhow, I'm gonna put things on a time lapse. We're gonna remove this, we're gonna fix this, make sure it's right. This bellows boot here is going on the trans line. So anyhow, let's hop to it. Okay, I just wanted to show the final product of what these snorkels look like. I realized I got like a ton of video on just doing these snorkels alone, along with painting the front bumper, but I don't think I'm going to release the one that's involves painting the front bumper because you know, when I painted it I did a few mistakes, but you know, it is what it is. That's just a little battle wound. But anyhow, I just wanted to show you what the snorkels look like. I just washed the wheeler, so you know, you're gonna still see mud here and there. So I just wanted to show you what it looks like and closed out this video. Yeah, I could do a part 2 on this series, but I also have Farm Fest videos I would like to release, so pay close attention to that too. And then also I replaced the pinion seal on the machine. But one thing I will mention before I close this out here is that steering. In fact, let me turn this on here. But with the steering, if you do have the Can-Am handguards and you turn it, you will hit your snorkels. So one thing I am going to recommend, and I'm going to do another video on that, is I'm going to install this CISO steering stem brace, and I'm going to install that here and hopefully that'll help moving my handlebars back so I don't hit my snorkels. And other than that, these are pretty great snorkels. One recommendation, and note this because I haven't done it yet, I would highly recommend when they show in the instructions, do put your 2 push pins in right here so you don't have your snorkels bouncing up and down like that. So that's one recommendation I can say, but other than that, this is a pretty good kit. So anyhow, I'm going to close out with that, and I'll just show you a little clip of what these snorkels look like at Farm Fest, and I hope you actually enjoyed this video. Anyhow, see you soon.
Hey, you're gonna float. You gotta get on each side. Yeah. Lance, stay by him. On the other side. Push it with your leg, Jeremy. Over this way, you're probably going to have to go to the other side. Just saying. Where'd the rest of the people go?